Now let's start with the respiratory system. The very first we have is nose. So the main function of nose is to prevent the entry of dust particles, right? To prevent the entry of dust particles. Or we can also write here, rather than dust, we can also say here unrequired particles, right, into the nest, into the respiratory system. You must have observed that in a nose there are small hairs, right? There were structure like hairs which prevent the entry of, like, if these are we are considering at the nasal hairs. So if any dust particle will enter, these hairs will stop the entry of that particle, right? So that is why it is said that nose is responsible to prevent the entry of some particles or dust particles in the respiratory system. It is respiratory system, in the process of respiration in the respiratory system. So second we have is pharynx. Here first come is larynx, then is pharynx. तो larynx का क्या function है? The function of it is to, the larynx here is having a main function as a voice box, right? What we are speaking, the voice which is produced by our system is just because of this larynx. This is also called as voice box. So pharynx is a part where nasal chambers, that is something related to nose, nasal chambers open up, and it is common passage, right? It is common for air and as well as food. So it is very important to prevent the entry of food into the respiratory system, as it can cause blockage of respiratory system also if the particles are big. So next we have trachea, very important part. The main respiratory system starts from here, like after nose it is trachea, pharynx and larynx are just the working as connection, right? These are connecting one part to another, connections or connecting parts. So we have trachea. Trachea is also called as windpipe. Why it is called as windpipe? Because the walls, the main function of trachea here is to the wind, the air is passing through trachea, present below the larynx and moves down to neck. So the इसकी जो हमने पढ़ा, how it is something like that, right? It is something like that. So it is C-shaped cartilaginous rings are present. C-shaped cartilaginous rings are there. So the very next part we have is bronchi. We are going to learn about bronchi here. Okay, if we are drawing, we can just for reference draw here. So जो हमारे पास trachea है, it splits into two bronchi. We can draw like this here. Here it is combined part. तो ये जो दो tubes generate हो रही हैं, these are called bronchis. Again जो हमारे पास bronchis हैं, these are divided into primary and secondary like this. Okay, so ये तो हमारे पास main bronchis आ रही हैं. These are again divided into a lot of bronchioles. This is bronchi, which is widened tube is called as bronchi, and जो हमारी branches बन रही है primary, secondary, these are called as bronchioles. और इनके आगे here is some structure like this, which is called as alveoli. It is alveoli and also called as air sac. Right? So it was all about bronchi. It is very important part. You need to remember the structure. This is the main structure, and alveoli is there. My dear learners, if you remember, we are even at present we are going through a pandemic called COVID-19. तो इसमें क्या होता था? COVID-19 is also something related to respiratory system, right? उसमें भी respiration में lungs में ही problem आती थी. The patients used to have problem in their lungs. तो उसमें क्या होता था? ये जो alveoli है ना, this used to fill with the fluid. अगर इसमें fluid present हो जाएगा तो it will not be able to expand. The main function of alveoli here is to expand. जब हम inhale करते हैं तो it used to expand and grow in size like this. तो ये अपने अंदर store कर लेती है air को, and when we exhale it again convert back into its again revert back into its initial state. And if it is filled with fluid or some other particles, it will not be able to expand, and that is why the patient find it difficult to inhale. Like उनमें breathing problem बहुत ज़्यादा होती है. Okay, so this was the case. You can also relate this respiratory system and what I'm teaching you, what you are learning in this respiration process, to that we will be dealing with this particular case. What can be the problems, right? Okay, so very next we have lungs. So it is primary organ of respiration. Located in either side of hearts, and its main function is to facilitate the exchange of gases between the blood and the air. Okay, so अभी हम पढ़ेंगे, ये तो हमने पढ़ा कि what was the main function, what are the main organs responsible in this. Now we are going to learn about the respiratory tract and respiratory system. तो respiratory tract के बारे में हमने पढ़ा. We are going to now learn in the form of flow charts only. तो सबसे पहले तो we have nose. After nose, here we have nasal chamber. What we have here is nasal chamber, that is the cavity which is passes behind the nose, we can see. Okay, so next we have larynx. Larynx or pharynx, both are just connecting parts, so we are writing here. Okay, so next we have is trachea. After trachea, we have bronchi. After bronchi, we have bronchioles. Then we have is alveoli, and then is the main part, that is lungs. Okay, so हमने इस वे में जो हमारा रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम है पढ़ा है. Let's just recapitulate all the things. So it is for intake of air we have nose. Nasal chamber, as I have told you, is something related to nose. इसमें जो air present है and mucus is present to prevent the entry of some unrequired particles in the respiratory system. These pharynx and larynx are basically the connecting part. So next we have trachea. Trachea is a long tube and it is passing through the mid-thoracic cavity. Next we have bronchis, and bronchis का क्या function है? Bronchis are basically the division of trachea, right? The trachea is divided into two long tubes, two thick tubes we can say, which are called as bronchis. And then bronchis are divided into primary and secondary division, which are called as bronchioles. After bronchioles, we have alveoli. Alveoli, what are alveoli? The termination point, like if these are branches, so this termination point consists of this, like this, right? It is something coiled in shape. So these are alveoli. The function here is to expand when we are inhaling and return back into their original shape when we are exhaling. And then we have learned about lungs. That lung is the basic requirement for respiration. It is the primary organ here. And now we are going to learn about the process which is taking place in the respiration process. Okay, so first of all, here we have very first we have is inhalation and exhalation. The process of inhalation we have. Inhalation में क्या होता है? The oxygen is taken in. The process of intake of oxygen, or we can say the process of intake of oxygen. Then is your सबसे पहले तो जो हमने inhale किया है, that reaches the lungs, and then exchange of gases between the lungs and bloodstream. इसमें क्या होता है? इनसाइड द लंग्स जो हमारे पास ऑक्सीजन है एंड कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड है, दीज आर एक्सचेंज बिटवीन द लंग्स एंड ब्लड स्ट्रीम. जो ब्लड है हमारी बॉडी में से ऑक्सीजन को लाता है एंड लंग्स में use it to transport to lungs, and from the lungs it carries the oxygen, and again the process continues. Like here is lungs. यहाँ से जो blood है, it takes oxygen to various parts or various cells we can say, and from there it brings carbon dioxide to lungs. Okay. तो अभी next here comes exchange of gases. Between the bloodstream and tissues. The same process happen with tissues here. Rather than lungs we have bloodstream. जो हमारी bloodstream होती है उसमें से वो ऑक्सीजन को लेते हैं and कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को उसमें छोड़ देते हैं. Okay, so this was about respiratory system. So in today's video we are done with respiratory and digestive system. So you can revise these topics. And you need to draw the diagrams. So it is very important for you to draw the diagrams, as these are very important topic. Okay, so draw the diagram of digestive system and respiratory system. Digestive system, and next is respiratory system. You can also refer to some animated videos. Okay, so this was all about the respiratory system in today's video we have covered. So in the next video we covering the next two life processes, that is excretory system and transpiration system. Till then, take care. Bye bye.